Hey everybody, this is Stitch1993 and welcome back to another underrated games video where we talk about games I think should be talked about more. And today we're looking at an N64 game, Space Station Silicon Valley, released on October 22nd, 1998. Now, you could arguably say that pretty much outside of the first party titles and the rareware titles, every N64 game is an underrated game just because of how poorly the console sold and how few titles actually were made for it from third-party developers. But this one is particularly special, I feel like, because of the company behind it, DMA Design, which, if that name doesn't sound familiar, they're also known now as Rockstar.
Like this.
Yeah, the people behind Grand Theft Auto and all those other wonderful games started out making games such as this, where you take place as a little microchip robot bug in the year 3001. And you use it to go on the space station, Silicon Valley as it's titled, there and control the random animals in order to get the ship back into working control and to defeat an evil robot. The graphics, of course, are about what you'd expect for an N64 title. It is a platformer collectathon, but it has a bit more puzzling in regards to certain animals are able to do certain things. So some animals are able to hop while others aren't. Some of them have the ability to go underwater or swim, and of course the size matters, so you can get some of the smaller animals to go into smaller crevices or a lighter animal to float to a higher platform. You've got about 30 to 40 levels with varying rates of difficulty and locations, and they're all, I feel like, very memorable, very colorful. Yeah, you've got the weird smudginess that would be the N64, but I feel like that gives it part of its charm for this game here. The animals, for the most part, look like what an N64 animal would look like, although sometimes they're more robotic, so some will have wheels, or some will have little wind-up keys on them, or some will have springs or something else. There's not much of a story here. Basically, the plot of the game, Space Station Silicon Valley, is launched along with numerous robotic animals in there, but soon after its launch, it vanishes. 1,000 years later, a duo finds the ship and they send their robot Evo down to investigate it, but the robot crash lands on the station, and so all that's left of him is this little tiny microchip. And then you go about each level. Each level has about 3 to 4 tasks that you need to complete before the portal will open so that you can exit the level and move on to the next one. I believe you don't have to complete all of them to get to the final boss. From what I recall, you just have to complete like a certain portion of them. And then, of course, if you get all the pieces, there's other things you can unlock, like trophies and bonus levels and all that good fun stuff. However, while I was looking into this game, apparently there's a glitch in one of the levels that will not allow you to get a 100% on the game through the regular way. So probably the easiest way to play this game is probably through emulation nowadays. Honestly, that's probably the easiest way anyways, because this game is kind of expensive just because of how, underrated it is even today. So it can go for a pretty penny, even just the cartridge itself. But it's definitely one I would recommend checking out, especially if you like those weird collectathon platformers of this day and age. There's nothing out here really, hold it up to where you say, oh, I like this, would I enjoy this? I'm like, yeah, it's kind of its own thing. I mean, it's got the, you can go around collecting little bits of power and stuff, but outside of that, there's not much else to compare it to. It's its own animal, no pun intended there. One of the interesting things about the gameplay is you can't just be the microchip bug forever. You actually have a very limited time before you'll explode and die, and you'll have to restart the level. So you do always want to be an animal, and if you knock an animal out, you kind of want to, before you move on to the next animal, kind of want to make sure you're near one so that you can just hop from one to another without having to worry about your battery running out. Other than that, it's a pretty fun game. I've played it a couple times. I'm not nostalgic for it because I didn't play it for the first time until late into high school, but as soon as I played it, it kind of hooked me in, and I think it'll do the same thing if you try it out, even if you've never played an N64 game before. Now, apparently there was a port to the PlayStation. I think it only got a PAL release though, because I couldn't find much information on it other than it's like one of the worst ports ever, which is interesting. Usually the PS1 was pretty good when porting over N64 games, so it was kind of weird that this was one that was the outlier. And then there's also a Game Boy Color version, which from the screenshots looks like just a regular, it's the game, but it's a side scroller instead of a platformer for obvious reasons. I did mention that this, of course, was developed by DMA Design, aka Rockstar Studios, but I forgot to mention that it's also published by Take-Two Interactive, which, if that name doesn't ring a bell, they have published and made many games over the past decade or so. Some of them, just to name a few, is Bugs Life, Aqua GT, and Multi-Coon, which I finished this video because that's also a really fun and interesting game and definitely underrated there. And so other than that, definitely recommend checking it out either through regular means or, you know, other means. And let me know down in the comments if you ever played this game, or did you grow with it, and what were your thoughts then and now. Do you agree that it's aged pretty well as compared to some of the other platformers of the day, or do you think it's a glitchy, clunky mess and it's unplayable? Let me know either way. Of course, thank you and have a good day. Bye.
Huh?